Hi, my name's Tom, and welcome back to my series, Winds of Change. So in this episode, we're going to be exploring the Japanese shakuhachi. This is another ancient flute. As we discovered last time, the flute was born of two different types, fipple flutes and transverse flutes. The shakuhachi is a fipple flute, it's end blown, and similarly to the bansuri and the dietza, it's another ancient form of the flute. However, as we're about to discover, its origin story is very different. Evidence of the shakuhachi in Japan dates back to probably about the 7th century. However, this form of the instrument was introduced by the Chinese, and it actually died out around the 10th century. Then after a period of time, the Japanese shakuhachi as we now recognise it started appearing. This was around the 15th century, and by the 16th century, it had taken its common form. Although many may consider the shakuhachi to be a folk instrument, it actually derives from a religious setting. From its creation, the shakuhachi was exclusively played by monks studying Zen Buddhism. It was an instrument used in meditation, and actually there was even a mandate made by the government that it wasn't to be used in any other setting. The governing dictator made a deal with the monks that they may play the flutes provided they also pose as spies, and some government spies were even sent out disguised as the monks. This was easily achieved as the monks wore wicker baskets over their heads as they travelled from place to place to symbolise their detachment from the rest of the world in their meditative state. When this mandate was abolished, the use of the shakuhachi was forbidden in an attempt to sift out the spies amongst the monks. As lots of the meditative repertoire was taught orally and not transcribed, much of the shakuhachi's music was lost to time. However, the increasingly popular folk music of Japan did not suffer because of this, and once use of the shakuhachi was again permitted, it jumped musical settings and joined folk music, acting as an accompanying instrument along with the koto and the shamisen. So although much of the original musical contexts are lost, it is as a contributor to ancient folk music that we can observe the shakuhachi from a historical point of view. Since then, the shakuhachi has jumped genres again. Nowadays we can see players from all over the world creating music with this instrument, including a few musicians who have embraced it in the context of jazz playing. So I've got to be honest, I really don't know where I'm starting with this. As you can see, it's just completely different to a normal flute or the dietza or the bansuri from last time. Obviously it's a fipple flute, but it's nothing like a recorder or a tin whistle. It's just this empty hole at the top with a little kind of like cut-out divot at the front. I can't quite get my head around what I'm meant to do. So I'm going to start watching some tutorial videos. Okay, so I've just watched a really helpful video on Adam Neely's channel with the shakuhachi player Zach Singer, who is an amazing jazz shakuhachi player. So, as I now understand it, because there are only 4 holes on the front, the placement is 1, 3, 1, 3. So as in fingers 1 and 3, and the middle finger just rests in between, and they're your balance points for holding the shakuhachi, but you don't use them to make any notes. And it's tuned in the pentatonic minor, usually in D. So this is tuned in D, being the long note with all the fingers covered, F, G, A, and then there's a hole in the back which I'm covering all the time as well. Apparently this just never really leaves the shakuhachi at all, you just always cover it. And the C would just be the thumb. And to access the second octave, all you're doing is changing the airflow. So it's exactly the same fingers to get the next octave and unlock the next lot of pentatonic notes. So all you're doing is changing your airflow. So this is the next challenge. So I've just had a great conversation with my long-standing mentor, James Mainwaring, woodwind extraordinaire. He's very kindly loaned me a lot of the instruments I'm using on this project. And we were talking about how to approach even making your first sound on the shakuhachi with such a different type of embouchure required. And he's actually suggested that for Western educated doublers, coming to an instrument like this is just, it's so foreign and exotic to us. He's actually suggested that I craft some sort of wings for the top of the shakuhachi to create the feeling of a Western instrument. Basically, when I go to play this currently, there's nothing really there to meet me. It's just this big drop. And he's suggesting to create some wings on the side that will meet me. So it will feel a little bit more ergonomic in the way that I'm used to. And he's saying that I might be able to get a sound out that way, because as it currently stands, I can, but it's very thin. So here's hoping. So here you can see the wings that I crafted. As the shakuhachi I'm practicing on is plastic, I use blue tack as it's not going to damage the instrument, but also it's a malleable material, so I could shape it and keep contouring it to my face. Okay, so it's been about a week or so, and I'm gonna try braving taking the blue tack off. I feel like I'm getting a bit more of a solid sound now. I'm still losing a lot of breath. I feel like I'm wasting a lot of air, and I end up feeling really lightheaded after playing for a while. But I wonder if that's something that's going to strengthen over time. I think this is going to be quite a long learning process. So here is a few notes in the bottom octave with the wings on still. And here we go, take two. I have taken the wings off. We'll see if my embouchure's got any stronger. Yeah, I feel like I'm making progress. There's still a long way to go with just kind of honing in on the actual centre of the sound, but I'm actually quite surprised how effective that was. I've also discovered through my own practice that, like the bansuri and the dietza, I can half hole on the shakuhachi as well. It's not as effective, I don't think, because of the thinner tone, but again, I wonder if this is something that will improve over time. But yes, so obviously because it's pentatonic, I can't get the whole chromatic series out, but I can get the semitone below most of the notes. The shakuhachi is without a doubt the hardest instrument I've ever tried to teach myself to date. But I absolutely love a challenge, and this is definitely not the end of the road for me in the shakuhachi. I'm really looking forward to exploring Japanese culture more, and maybe even discovering how to play the shakuhachi in an ensemble at some point. So that concludes this episode and our exploration into the shakuhachi. Join me next time, we'll be looking at Native American flutes.